It sure is strange that they just popped up this Grand Blue event, going on here. They have addressed it already, which is kind of interesting. Right here, they said an icon for joining a currently unavailable event is displayed on the home screen. This will be addressed in upcoming maintenance. So, probably after the upcoming maintenance, they're gonna release that event. So it might actually come out in April, but it feels like it's already a bit late for that. But anyway, today we're gonna be talking about which are the must-have cards from set 1. I wasn't originally going to make this, but you guys really asked for it, and so I think it's worth to make it, because that way you know what you might be pulling for. I already kind of covered it in terms of what you should be, like, re-rolling for, and that was kind of my idea of telling you what, you should be re-rolling for is what you should be keeping from this first set, but then I guess some people just want to know what they should be crafting for, what they should be making, from this set. So we just open our daily pack here for you guys. But let's take a look. We're only going to talk about double rares and triple rares, so no rares and commons, because this is under the assumption that you already have 4 of each. So my kind of guidance on when to stop pulling a set is when you have 4 of every rare and common, at the very least of the clans you care about. So that's kind of my perspective on that. So we're going to take a look here. We're going to make this rares and double rares. So, what is going to last? What's going to be good? So, of course, Blaster Blade. We already got 4 of him just from playing the game. This will be a must 4 of in Majesty Lord Blaster when that comes out in July. A lot of people ask when that's happening. That is in July. And so this, of course, not even a question. Akane will sadly fall off. Akane is used in Garmor, which is going to be in May. So this will see some use throughout May and June, but will fall off in after July onwards. So you don't really need to craft her, you don't need to make her, it's quite okay. Alfred, you don't really actually need him. He's very good right now, of course. He's going to be good for the next couple of months, but when Majesty Lord Blaster hits, you run Alfred as a 1-of. So if you have 1 Alfred, that's good. That's enough, actually. You don't need to craft anymore. Don't waste your resources on that. Gancelot, however, this is the card. The card for Royals from set 1. You really need 4 for Majesty Lord Blaster when that comes out. And Majesty Lord Blaster will be a deck that, unless it gets nerfed, it hasn't yet in Japan, and right now we're in Limit Break era in Japan, is one of the best decks in the game. Arguably the best deck in the game, and Gancelot is a key piece in this because he fetches your Blaster Blades in order to use Majesty Lord Blaster's skill, which sucks up a Blaster Blade and a Blaster Dark to Soul to get extra power and crit. And so by putting your Gancelots onto a heal, you can also recycle your heal triggers, which is very important and very good for the for lasting in the game. And Gancelot is just very important. As you can see, I have 3. I can craft a 4th one, but because they don't separate the gacha until Limit Break comes out, I'm expecting to pull 1 more throughout the coming months. So that's why I'm not actually going to be crafting one just yet. And then Soul Saver, sadly, I pulled so many Soul Savers in this account, but Soul Saver will not really be useful. She does fall off a fair bit. You need the soul for other things. She doesn't really work well in Galahad. She doesn't do too much in Garmor. She doesn't really do anything in Majesty Lord Blaster. So Soul Saver is not a card you need to be worrying about. And same goes for Alfred Early. Will not really be useful. This is played as like a 1-of in some Majesty Lord Blaster lists, so this does have some use later on. So it's like, if you pull it, good, but don't craft it. Don't waste resources crafting Alfred Early. It's not necessary. However, the best double rare, outside of Perfect Guard, of course, for Royals is the Palamedes. Palamedes is very important because when we get into cross rides, the opponent's Vanguard will be 13k base power. And so you need a card that can hit for 13 without being boosted, and that's Palamedes. So having 4 Palamedes is very important. I would say you might want to pull the gacha if you're aiming for Royals. You might want to pull the gacha for a little bit until you get at least 2 to 3 Palamedes. Maybe 2 is enough, and then you can craft the other 2 because crafting double rares is not very expensive, as you can see here. So it's not actually that difficult. So Palamedes is very important, as is a 4-of in Majesty Lord Blaster, and therefore we'll see some use for quite some time. So that covers Royals more or less. Oracle Think Tank. Cocoa, I'm sorry, girl, but she falls off incredibly. She does not see much use anymore. A little bit in Coco, not Cocoa, Coco, but that's much later. That's going to be in like July as well. Tsukuyomi, which comes out next month. I used her at first, but then she does fall off as well because Tsukuyomi wants to also run Gemini to make 16k columns with Silent Tom. And then The thing is that, you know, Coco is only 6k and you only have so much space in your grade 1s actually, so Cocoa really does not make the cut in Tsukuyomi because basically you're running 4 Perfect Guards, 4 Tsukuyomis, and you're left with 5 slots. So you want to put 2 of those to your Geminis, and then you have 3 slots left, and you usually want to run the Blue Eye for those slots instead. So Cocoa, sadly, not very good. I'm a bit sad I have 4, and she is not going to be very useful. However, Silent Tom is, once again, if we're going to be talking about the card for a clan from set 1, Silent Tom is it. However, there is one thing I need to add to this, which is that Silent Tom becomes an obtainable reward. Now, I released a video which is called Tournament Mode in Vanguard Zero, and somewhere in the 3rd, 4th month of Vanguard Zero, 4th month, they release a tournament mode, which is basically you play 3 rounds against random opponents, and then you get these V coupons. And then you get tournaments only held on weekends, and you can enter once each day for free, and then the rest costs 100 gems per entry, and you can enter 5 entries per day, or you can participate 5 times a day. And then you get these coupons the more you win, and then you exchange these coupons for alternate art cards. And 2 of those cards you can exchange for are Silent Tom and Ashura Kaiser from Triple Rares. So, should you craft Silent Tom right now? Maybe if you want to be super competitive with Tsukuyomi right off the bat. But I would personally wait a little bit because you can get Silent Tom essentially for free by just playing the tournament mode. And so I think that it's not worth to craft it right now. I think you're better off waiting a little bit and just getting it from the tournament mode, because that will actually be, like, that's going to save you so many resources, you know, instead of having to craft it right now or pull for it. So if you pull it, great. It is necessary. You do need at least 2 in Tsukuyomi. 2 is actually quite fine. 3 is optimal, I would say, but 2 is quite fine. And so this is an important card. It is a very, very, very important card that you do want to have. Then, Maiden of Libra, used in some decks, but not too important. Not as important as the Apollon. Apollon is used in almost every Oracle Think Tank deck. It's not really used in Tsukuyomi as much because it shuffles. And, you know, Tsukuyomi cares about the stack, so no shuffling in that deck whatsoever. But in any other Oracle Think Tank deck, this will be used. In the upcoming Imperial Daughter Control, I will talk about this in a video. I already talked about the best decks coming out of the next set already, but this will be useful in decks like that, and in the Coco deck, the Soulless Oracle Think Tank deck, it will be useful. So Apollon, useful right now, will be useful forever, so a good double rare to pull for. I would say once you have 2, you can stop pulling for it and then just craft the rest. And then Sakuya, sadly, not necessary. Not run at all, really not used much whatsoever, not something you need to worry about, I would say. Amaterasu, while she is important and she will get a cross ride eventually, this card is a ranked reward in the 3rd season of the game, which means from mid-May to end of May, this will be the ranked reward with an alternate art. So if you don't have Amaterasu, you can aim for like top 1000 and Legend 30, and you can get yourself a playset next, well, in 2 seasons basically. But otherwise, that's the only other way to get her free to play. The other way will be, of course, by pulling and crafting. So yeah, if you want her, I recommend waiting for her ranked reward season, because I think that art is also prettier, and you know, you can get her animated in SB and everything. So if you don't have her at all, then go for that. If you only have 1 or 2, you can go for like Legend 1000. I mean, sorry, Legend 10 top 1000. Legend 1000 would be crazy, but that is also a way that you can aim for it. So Amaterasu, a lot of the OTT cards like actually can be gotten free to play. Like Tom is a reward, Amaterasu is a reward. You just have to play. Blaster Dark, oh my god, so many people go like, why use Blaster Dark in English? For finishing the story, you get 1 Blaster Dark. This will be important as a 4 of, so having 1 is already very good. Moving on to Kagura. What are the best decks in Kagura? I mean, best cards in Kagura. Berserk Dragon is by far the most important double rare. This card, I think, will be good in Kagura for at least a year. Like, this might have the most mileage out of any card in the game in set 1. Because Catalyst 2 to pop something is just great. And the deck always wants it. The only cards that will ever replace this are like Dragonic Burnout, but that's not going to release for a while. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, like Steel Dragons don't really do the same thing either. So this will really be a staple, and a staple means like a necessary card in Kagura for a very, very, very long time. So I would pull for Berserks. I would craft Berserks. I only have 3 right now because like 3 is actually a good number to have, because many decks only run 3. So you definitely want to have Berserk. Berserk is a super important card. There won't be any free-to-play way to get it, so definitely want to pick that up. Overlord. Overlord is an interesting card because, of course, it is in the first gacha set, but of course it's also a V-Metal exchange reward, so if you open 200 packs you can exchange for it. And then, on top of that, the second ranked season also has Overlord as a reward. So I don't think you need to pull for this. You can get him from ranked, and then if you just open 200 packs of any set, he stays in that V-Metal exchange forever. So no matter what set you open 200 packs of, those V-Metals will carry over every month. They don't reset or anything. The rewards don't change for the cards. They do change for the character skins, but not the cards. So Overlord you can always get. Overlord you can always get. It's a very easy card to get, so you don't need to worry about it too much in my opinion. So of course it's an important card. You need 4 of it in the end. That's like a, not debatable, but you can get it later on without pulling the gacha. Blockade is a very interesting case because right now he is the best card. You do need 4 right now if you want to grind ranked. And then he's going to be good in good stuff Kagura. He's going to be good for the next 3 months basically. And then when the end comes out, you basically have 2 variants of the end. Because the end, obviously, 8 of your grade 3s are 4 Overlord, 4 Dragonic Overlord, the end. And then you have, well, 5 grade 3 slots left. So what do you do with those slots? So what most people do is 4 Dual Axe Arc Dragon, and then 1 Waterfall, 1 Blockade, 1 Goku, 1 whatever really, 1 Blazing Flare, a bunch of stuff. But what some people do is they run 4 of Blockade, because then it's kind of like a backup grade 3, but it's only 10k, so it doesn't really do much on rearguard, whereas the Dual Axe will hit you for 21k columns, and that's great. A lot of people do want to play that. That's the build that sees most success in tournaments in Japan as well, and so Blockade sadly will fall off, but it will see resurgence because Blockade will receive a cross ride with Blockade Inferno during the Break Ride era. So those of you that have been playing the game for a while will remember that card, and so any Blockades you have will still be useful. And I think you can still craft them, you can still pull for them, like they are going to be good for a while, especially if you want to be like a Kagura one-trick and just play Kagura forever. Blockade will be great, but it does fall off eventually. It does fall off and then it comes back and then it falls off again. That's kind of like the pattern that this card has. Then Blazing Flare sadly falls off, but does see some use here and there. Like this is part of good stuff Kagura, and then this is like, it's still a nice point-and-click retire for Soul Blast 4, and it procs all your like on-retire effects like his own. And then, like I said, some builds of the end run it, some don't, and then it's not really going to get any more like direct support, so it will fall off eventually, so I wouldn't recommend crafting it. Right now it is good, but I don't recommend crafting it like in the long term. If you're planning to play in the long term, if you don't want to spend on the game and you're like trying to be free to play, don't craft it right now. Same goes for Goku. It's good right now, but it's not going to be very good later on. And Aleph, absolutely don't. This is an interesting card, it's a good budget Kagura deck, to some extent, I would say. But, yeah, don't. This card becomes very irrelevant very fast, and you don't need to go for that. Going on to Novas. My Nova cards are so different between Japanese and English, but we're going to take a look at everything. Ashura Kaiser, definitely a must-have. However, just like Silent Tom, you'll be able to get this from your tournament rewards when they launch the tournament mode. So you can get 4 free-to-play Ashura Kaisers from that tournament mode. So you can pull for it now, but at the same time, you'll be able to get him free-to-play. So you don't necessarily need him that much. So I would say that, you do need him as a card, but I would recommend putting your crafting materials to Risers next set instead, because this is just a backup grade 3 in Risers, It's much more important to have Perfect Riser than Ashura Kaiser in that deck. So I would say Ashura Kaiser, I would personally hold off until the tournament mode comes out in English and then grind for it from the V coupons that release that way, same with Silent Tom. So yeah, Brutal Jack, you can only get through Gacha, and this will be like a 1 to a 2 of in almost every Nova Grappler deck, because having an 11k base is always good for grade 2. So this card will still be used for quite some time. I think once you pull 1 or 2, you can stop pulling. I don't think you need to craft it specifically, because it's always going to be just a supporting grade 2. It's never going to be like the main role. and you always want to craft like the main grade 3 card usually in a clan. So yeah, Brutal Jack kind of, like, it doesn't really fall off, but it's not that important per se, and it has replacements, so that way it's like it's not as key as possible. Cosmo Lord is a very interesting card because Cosmo Lord on its own is pretty whatever, right? It's just, you know, rest something to get plus 3k. But this card gets a cross ride in Japanese. We haven't had a release yet at the time of making this video, but it looks like it will be in the pack next month. And this will be the Death Army Cosmo Lord. And that card initially, when it came out in the physical card game, was just a 10k, you know, base card. But in Zero, they made it a cross ride to Cosmo Lord, which means it's a 13k Cosmo Lord that gets a crit, gets extra power, is basically like Risers on steroids. And so, of course, for that, Cosmo Lord will be necessary. It's going to be insanely good. So, any Cosmo Lords you pull are good. I don't think having the cross ride will be that necessary for that deck to do what it wants to do. But any Cosmo Lord you pull is a good Cosmo Lord, unless of course you pull 8, in which case, I mean, it's a bit sad, but if you have like 2 or 3, I'd be pretty happy about it. You don't need to stress about it. I think it's a good card to have, and just overall, you know, a nice little addition to your collection, and it's going to be good for when the Crossride comes out. Looking at the double rares, of course, PGs are important. Kirara will always be used, more or less. Like, she's always, any Nova deck that doesn't use too much Counterblast will see use in Kirara, so this will be used in Risers, this will be used in Blouse, this will be used in a lot, because you can always countercharge her Counterblast too, so it's like an extra card in hand, and you can refund the cost pretty easily, so she's always used, so it's good to have her. If you pull like 2, you can stop pulling, things like that. And then the Death Armies, these see use in some decks. As I said, there's going to be a Death Army deck soon, and so of course they will be important for that, but outside of that, I mean, they are used in Risers, they're used in current Novas. I don't know how much you need to pull for them, but it's more like if you have them, it's good, and you run them. But if you don't pull the gacha just for these 2 cards. Like, they are good, but they're not something you should sink your savings of your packs for, if that makes sense. So they're not necessarily must-have. So to summarize, your must-have cards are Gancelot, Palamedes, Silent Tomba, you can get him from a reward, Amaterasu, but you can get her from a reward, Apollon, and then Berserk Dragon, Draconic Overlord, but you can get him from 2 different types of rewards, and then Dual Axe Dragon, Arc Dragon, and then Brutal Jack is like barely there, and then Ashura Kaiser kind of, but again, you can get him from a reward. So I would say Ashura Kaiser is a must-have for Novas, but you can get him from a reward. So, and then Cosmo Lord is a question mark for now. We don't know how important the cross ride will be for the next grade 3, but yeah. So hopefully this helps a lot of you guys that are starting up the game, you know, building up your collections and opening packs. A lot of people are saving packs for the next set because we already know what it is, of course, because of the release schedule being behind of the Japanese one. So I think it's going to be very, very exciting. And then, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty exciting for the game. And I hope this helps you guys that are kind of thinking, should I still be pulling more? What should I be crafting? You know, what's important? So hopefully this helps you guys to start your collections and, you know, get a good, you know, first step into the game. So that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.